Do the cash walk, do the cash walk. Hey, I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your
The Minor Details, episode 12 already, and my co-host Pete Pitts, The Walking Dead, 107 movies and TV shows. Pete, welcome again, episode 12 already. We've been doing this for 4 months, and I'm telling you right now, the followers are gaining and gaining and gaining. You know it.
Absolutely, Danny. Thank you so much, Danny. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to episode 12 of The Minor Details. I'm Pete Pitts. I'm honored to join you, the crime solver, Danny Minor, on this amazing show for the people. This is your show, not just America. This is your show for the world, where we talk true crime, legal cases, a little bit of entertainment, and a hint of paranormal. And today, we have a huge, monumental show for you. After our weekly highlights and our entertainment spotlight and our missing person spotlight, we're going to be talking about deportation in America.
Pete, it's going to be a controversial case, but I'm going to tell you this. Our Instagram is lighting up right now. People want to hear what we have to say about this. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. But we're going to respect each other tonight. We're going to hear both sides. If you have questions about deportation, you want to express your feelings, we want to hear it. But we want to be respectful on both sides. Right, Pete?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a unique podcast and show. We are actually streaming live right now to multiple platforms, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So we do ask everyone tuning in, everyone leaving comments, please keep it respectful and please keep it honest. If you have opinions that are going to offend others, we don't want to hear that. But however, we are going to be controversial because a lot of people don't want to talk about this. The mainstream media is not covering this in detail. But Danny and I, we are going into the trenches to bring you the truth and talk about what's really going on in America and across the world.
Pete, I totally agree. I'm not afraid to tackle things like this because I believe in America, we need to talk about this. When you don't talk about things like this, it festers, Pete. And that's why you have misinformation going on, everything. Fake news, like Trump would say. It's because we're not talking about things. Is this a hard topic to talk about? Yes. But that's what we do here. We are going to be the number one podcast because we're not afraid to tackle these things. So share this, folks. Tell people to start watching because we will talk about things people won't talk about, but we will.
That's right. And if anyone out there does not know, Danny Minor, the crime solver, you have a history of 27 years of law enforcement experience in Pennsylvania, including many years as a detective. And I have a history of over 15 years combined of music, Hollywood film, and TV industry experience, as well as the authorship of my first book, Path to Success, right above me. So between Danny and I, we have a unique perspective, but we both have a lot in common. Even though we don't always agree on everything, that's the beauty of this show. This is not completely scripted. This is not choreographed. This is not rehearsed. We literally do this off the cuff on these major topics that are concerning the whole world. And this is a big case right now. This is a big subject that's going on in America, and it's affecting everyone worldwide right now.
I agree, Pete. Should we jump into what do you want to jump into before we get into it? We'll get into it in about 10 minutes, guys. We got to go over entertainment spotlight, our missing person.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Pete.
I think let's start with some weekly highlights, Danny. And first of all, I want to congratulate you personally on your credit for the movie Easy's Waltz that we both appeared in, starring Al Pacino, Vince Vaughn, and Danny Minor.
Listen, when I looked up Easy's Waltz and I saw my name, Danny Minor, actor, lounge patron, I was like, holy shit, Pete, I'm in a movie. I'm in a movie.
Danny, that was one of the most fun movies I was ever part of. For everyone who doesn't know it's coming out very soon, Easy's Waltz, and it's going to be based on the story of a Las Vegas lounge singer. It's set in Vegas, and we actually filmed it in Las Vegas as well, which is Danny's home, and it's also my home as well. I'm currently broadcasting from my satellite location in Nashville, Tennessee, but Vegas will always be my home at heart ever since I moved there last March. God bless Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, it was my acting debut. You've been in 107 movies. You've been on The Walking Dead for 2 seasons. This was brand new to me, and it was great to hang with you during the movie because then I felt like not an amateur. I felt like a pro hanging with Pete on a movie set.
You really were, Danny. And for everyone out there, I want you to tune in when you see Danny's performances, because let me just tell you what, Danny, you have some of the most real, raw, and authentic acting ability. You might not have even realized you had it within you, but I tell you what, you are a star and you light up the camera. You're going to light up the screen when everyone sees you on the big screen.
Thanks, man. That's my first movie. More to come, folks. More to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about a couple more things that happened this week. First of all, Danny, would you let everyone know about the new evidence in the Scott Peterson case? We have a 400-page memo that just came out detailing some new facts about the Scott Peterson case.
Yeah, folks, listen, I think you've all know we did a podcast on the Scott Peterson case not long ago. There's new evidence now. The Innocent Project of Los Angeles is saying not only do they have evidence to grant him a new trial, they're saying they have evidence that will clear him, that he did not commit the murders. And they said the reason is they're saying they could prove that the baby was not unalived scientifically when the prosecution is saying. And they're also saying the body was not dumped there when the prosecution was saying. So they're saying these two things will prove his innocence. And they're saying they don't even want a new trial. They're saying this man's innocent, Pete. 100% innocent.
Wow, Danny, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that yet, but I do want to investigate and pour over these new findings. If you all haven't listened to it yet, go back and check out Danny and my previous episode where we talk about the Scott Peterson case in detail. And Danny and I both tend to lean on the side of him being guilty, don't we, Danny?
I listen, and a lot of people think that I don't think that, but the truth is, I believe he's 100% guilty. But I come from a law background, a cop 27 years, and I can tell you this: there's not a lot of evidence to convict him. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence, but there's no hard evidence. I always thought he should have been found not guilty. So I'm on the defense's side with that. I just don't think there's enough evidence to convict him, but I think he's guilty. If that makes sense, there's two different things. There's one thing of being innocent and another thing being guilty. Do you know what I'm saying here?
Absolutely, Danny. And you're right. The legal system and law in America was set up in order for people to be innocent until proven guilty. And you have to be proven guilty through this direct evidence. However, we respect everyone's opinion out there. The boards are lighting up right now with a lot of people, including Angela, saying that they believe that Scott is completely guilty. So I understand a lot of people feel that way. And Danny and I kind of tend to feel that way as well. There was a comment on your recent TikTok, Danny, that said, if he was innocent, why did he flee? Why did he change his hair? Why did he take out all the money? And I actually responded with a comment saying, I've worked with a lot of celebrities who they want to get out of the public eye in the media. So I can understand the tendency to want to stay away from the spotlight if you have a direct spotlight on you. But that doesn't mean that he's innocent or guilty. I'm just saying I've seen people that wanted to get away from that.
And Pete, that's what the documentary said. The documentary said he was in disguise because he was going to go golfing with his father and his friend, and the press was so bad that he dyed his hair and stuff to get away from it. That's what they're saying. That's the reason. And you know what, Pete? At first, you hear that, you think the guy's escaping to Mexico, right? But
Right.
now you hear that, you think, well, maybe it's true, right? Maybe. You don't know.
Yes, absolutely. So Danny and I will be bringing you all future and newer developments as they unfold in the Scott Peterson case. And in the future, in the near future, we are also going to be reporting live from Idaho. We will be in Boise, Idaho, as well as Moscow, Idaho, as we're going to be reporting live on the Brian Koberger case, which we also have a new discovery this week, or some new facts that came out this week about Brian Koberger. Danny, do you want to let everyone know about that?
Yes, just before we got on air, folks, I'm telling you, a half hour ago, we had breaking news. The judge in the Brian Koberger case said he could still get the death penalty. Still, the death penalty is on the table, even though he's autistic. Now, the defense was trying to say he was so autistic that he's unable to get the death penalty because of his disability. The judge comes out now and says, nope, the death penalty is still on the table.
Wow. Wow. So we will be reporting live from Idaho. We will be talking with witnesses there, as well as pretty much anyone outside the courthouse that wants to talk to us. And we're going to be giving you the facts straight from that area, as we are really fully invested in these cases. And I do see Angela mentioned just a moment ago that she started watching The Walking Dead. So shout out to all of my Walking Dead fans out there. For those of you who don't know, I played a savior in Negan's army. Started out in season 6 at the season 6 finale. I was one of Negan's main men, and I was all throughout season 7 up until season 8. And then I worked on season 10 as a production assistant behind the scenes. So it was such an honor. And thank you, Angela, and all the Walking Dead fans out there as well.
Pete, one thing that people don't realize, you were in the biggest scene in, honestly, television history to me. When Glenn was murdered, right? We all waited for that, right? We all waited. Who was Negan going to kill, right? You were in that fucking scene, Pete. I mean, that's one of the biggest moments of TV. So I want to congratulate you for that, man. It's crazy.
Thank you. Thank you, Danny. And thank you, everyone, for watching. It was a supreme honor. Not only was it the biggest scene in Walking Dead history, like Danny just mentioned, it was one of the biggest scenes in TV history at the time. It was the debut of Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan, the character. And Danny, I started getting fan mail and messages from people around the world, from Germany to England to Australia to New Zealand. People were asking me what happened on this climax, what happened in the next episode. But I had signed a $1 million non-disclosure agreement, so I was not about to tell, even though people were offering me hundreds of dollars for me to give the facts. And I said, nope, I signed a $1 million NDA, but it was an honor to be part of that show. So let's talk about a little more entertainment, actually.
But you know what, Pete, 1 second. Angela's mentioning Negan there, right? That he's hot. Hey, who looks like Negan, right? Come on. I'm a little shorter, but I got the look, man. I got the look.
You definitely do, Danny. And it's so ironic and funny that you say that, because when I met you, and even before we met in person in Las Vegas on Easy's Waltz, I was following you on social media, and I said, you know what? This guy looks like a young Jeffrey Dean Morgan or a Negan's brother. So I really want to put you guys together on a big screen. I want to see that happen one day.
Listen, we definitely look alike. We're almost the same age. I think he's 57. I'm 56. So we're almost the same age.
I keep forgetting that, Danny. You seem like you're 36. You're so young at heart. It's that Italian.
I just act young. I'm as old as hell.
Nice. You have an old soul and a young heart. So I love it.
All right.
A little more entertainment really quick. The other entertainment spotlight I wanted to mention is Shannon Sharpe. I've always been a fan of Shannon Sharpe. He came out with his big podcast recently, and he was interviewing Country Wayne, who I love, from Atlanta. He was interviewing lots of big people. And man, I've been following Shannon Sharpe, but the recent news about Shannon Sharpe is very disturbing, about the lawsuit that was filed in Clark County, Nevada, our home state, this week. Do you want to tell everyone about that, Danny?
Oh my gosh. Pete, when I heard this, I couldn't believe it, because listen, I'm like you. I'm a fan of Shannon Sharpe. Not only was I a fan of his football ability, I liked his broadcasting ability. I like people that can talk. They're good communicators. They bring people in to interview them, and they bring a lot out on people. So honestly, I was more impressed of him being a broadcaster even than a football player. But this week comes out, Pete, and he had an affair with a girl. Well, not an affair. He doesn't have a girlfriend. He's never been married, but he was having a relationship with a young girl that's 19 years old. I can tell you this, 56-year-old man and a 19-year-old girl, it's never going to end good, and it's not ending good for him. She is a child at 19. What does a 56-year-old man want to do with a child? And I'm sorry for people that are going to get mad at me. She's a fucking child. That's the fact.
Danny, I know you have children, and you definitely are very protective, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. I've seen a lot of people in the comments saying, oh, she's an adult, just like, who was it 2 weeks ago that we talked about, the guy from Impractical Jokers, who was also also accused of not necessarily sexual assault, but somewhat similar to sexual assault. The point is, these things are not right if they're really happening. First of all, these are allegations. I don't know what happened, but what I do know is that we in America and across the world, we seem to have a double standard for people of authority, people in power, celebrities, law enforcement officers, government and officials. Why is it that we don't hold them to the same standards and punishment that a regular, everyday, average Joe would get? That's unfair. It's uncalled for, and it has to stop, Danny.
I agree. And there's people in the comments right now on Instagram totally agreeing with us. Here's
Yeah.
the thing, folks. You know, if it was me, it was Pete, it was Joe Smo, the plumber, they'd be getting fucking arrested. But these celebrities don't get arrested, they get sued instead. We have Watson, who's a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. 27 women said he sexually assaulted them. 27. How could 27 women say you raped them, sexually assaulted them, and you don't get charged? Like, what's going on, America? Why are celebrities held differently? Why are athletes held differently? Because they should be arrested. You went with a 19-year-old girl, you're a 56-year-old man. It's disgusting. I said what I said.
So, Danny, what we do know is that there's a $50 million lawsuit that was filed, and allegedly Shannon Sharpe is now stepping away from ESPN. He was not fired, but he's stepping away. So that's all the punishment that's happened so far. So I agree. The double standard is not cool. It's unacceptable.
And here's the thing, Pete. I don't know if you're familiar. I don't want to get into politics, but ESPN is known as a very woke brand. They lost like half their followers. Nobody watches them anymore because they're so woke. It's so woke that it's almost disgusting. But then you have one of your employees do something horrendous, horrendous, and you keep them on your payroll. And I don't know if you know this, Pete. He went live on Instagram while he was having sex with a girl. And he said he did it by accident. That was 5 weeks ago. Did you know that?
I actually did not know that news, and that's honestly disturbing that I didn't hear about it because, like you said, the media is not covering these things, and it's all agenda, and it's all about who has power and who can get away with stuff. So, Shannon, I've always respected you, but man, if you're listening, I'm very disappointed to hear this recent news. Very disappointed.
What happened was he's saying that I accidentally put my Instagram live on while I was having sex with a girl. You heard everything, Pete. His agent was calling him saying, "What the hell are you doing? Get off live." He's saying he accidentally hit the button. So this is number 2 incident with him in like the last 3 months.
Yeah, and Danny, I see McBlue is lighting up the chat boards in the comments over on YouTube saying accidentally went live. No, it's a multi-step process. So you don't just click a live button. You have to click, you have to put on the title. So I'm not buying that. But let's move on because we do have a missing person spotlight in just a moment.
I know.
But
so much going on. We're sorry. We're going to get into the deportations in 2 minutes.
Yes, there's so much. But really quick, Danny, before we get to the missing person spotlight, I just want to mention my boss who I've been working with here in Nashville, Dave Ramsey. I've got his new book right here, Build a Business You Love. He's trying to help people with financial healing. He's trying to help people grow in their lives. And his daughter has a great book also that I picked up called Love Your Life, Not Theirs. In other words, Danny, I see you out there, but I'm not jealous of you. I support you. I'm living my own version of my life. And then one more book that I'm going to mention is Dr. John Deloney has a cool book called Redefining Anxiety. Imagine if we could reframe our anxieties and if we could all have better mental health here in America and across the world, we probably wouldn't have a show or a podcast, Daddy. But I want us to be healthier. I want us to have that version. So let's jump into our missing person spotlights now that I've mentioned my coworkers at Ramsey Solutions.
And listen, and we're going to get right into it, but I just want to say one thing, Pete. A friend of mine did Ramsey's thing, and they got totally out of debt. They have their car paid off, and they're on their way to their house being paid off. So actually, he works. I know that for a fact, that system works. But, okay, we'll get into our missing spotlight. Pete, every week, folks, we give 3 missing spotlights of missing people, children, persons. But this week, we're going to do Australia, because we have so many international followers, right? You wouldn't believe that, but we are in 10 different countries. We have a bunch of Australian followers. So this whole week is going to be 3 people that are missing from Australia. There's first one, and they're all up on our webpage, the Minor Details Facebook page. So go over to the Minor Details Facebook page. We always put them. Okay, first one is Jacob Partridge. Okay, he was last seen December 6th, 2024 on a Friday. Last seen missing from Emerald Beach in Australia. He was only 17 years old. Has not been seen since. Not a lot about what happened. He just went missing from there, from Emerald Beach. Last seen hanging out with friends.
Wow, that's a shame. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of people in our American fan base don't realize that these missing persons cases cover worldwide. So we're talking about all over the world. Today, we're bringing you 3 men because it's commonly women or children who are missing. But the second man, also from Australia, that I'm going to mention today on our missing person spotlight is Gavin Moresby White. He was 68 years old at the time he went missing. He'd be 69 now. He was last seen on Greg Stairs Road at Gungle, about 50 kilometers west of Muswellbrook. Forgive me, Australians, if I'm butchering those names. I'm not from there, and I don't know these cities or these areas, but he was last seen at 10:30 a.m., October 29th, 2024. He has not been seen or heard from at that time in 5 weeks, and a big alarm was raised with police around November 15th. That's when they started a massive search for him, but so far, no evidence in this missing person.
I'm the same way. I'm gonna apologize for the words because I'm gonna Italian that can't say words. Okay, so get ready for it, Australia. But again, another guy, only 27, Jack McLennan. He is missing. He was 27. The last thing that they know of him existing was a phone call on October 4th, 2024 at 8:50 p.m. He was talking to his sister. That is the last known conversation or anything that he was still alive, and he's still missing today, Pete.
Wow, Danny, it's such a tragedy. So our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts go out to not only all of these missing people, some of which may still be alive out there somewhere. Some of them may be hurt. Some of them might have been kidnapped. Some of them might be unalived by now, but our thoughts and our prayers also go out to all the families who don't know, who don't have closure on knowing where their relatives and their friends are. And this is a worldwide epidemic of people missing around the world. And we at the Minor Details are determined to help find them. So tune into our Facebook page, The Minor Details, for these pictures and details.
Exactly. Now you ready to get into it, Pete? Because the controversy is going to start.
I guess I'm as ready as I'll ever be, Danny. I know this is going to be our most polarizing subject we've ever talked about. And here at the Minor Details, we focus a lot on true crime. We've dabbled into paranormal a little bit. We always mention a little bit of entertainment because that's my background. But today we're talking about a big, broad legal issue. We're talking about deportation in America, particularly what's been happening since last November and since this year, 2025, with the ICE department here in the United States of America. And Danny, it's such a big topic. We've actually been needing to talk about this for a while. So I know the hate comments are going to come in, but we do ask everyone, please be respectful in the comments because we want to hear everyone out and hear your questions and your comments about this.
Exactly. We got 40 minutes here, and we're going to talk about this to the end almost. Okay, folks, because this is a big topic. Pete, I've done videos on this, and the hate I got are extreme. I probably had to report 10 people to Instagram that threatened me. They threatened my life. They threatened to assault me. Everything, Pete. All because I stuck up for some victims that were deported. And I call them victims because they're victims. Okay? Some of them are victims here. I agree with some deportation, but not all of it. And I would bet most of Americans are like me. Most Americans aren't far left, aren't far right. They're in the middle. And that's how I am, Pete. I see both sides. I'm going to tell you this. I voted for Trump. I voted for him every time he ran for president. But that does not mean I agree with everything he does. If I agreed with everything he does, I would be in a cult. I'm not in a cult. I just thought he was the best option. Okay? I thought he was the best option at the time. I was a Democrat for 47 years of my life, and now I've been a Republican in the last 9 years of my life. Okay? And now I'm thinking about changing to independent after this, Pete. So I see both sides. I think we need deportation, but think we need common sense while we're doing it. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me, Danny, and that's one thing that we actually do see eye to eye on is the understanding of both the left and the right, the conservative and the liberal perspectives. I've also claimed to be both. I've voted Democrat, I've voted Republican, I have also voted independent. And personally, I consider myself a human being. I love humans. I love animals even more sometimes, but I love people, especially good people with good hearts. I do consider myself a patriotic American. And recently, I've had to question, what does that mean to be a patriotic American? What does it mean to be an American citizen? And Danny, as we're going down the rabbit hole in this case, in this topic, I know the comments are going to come out. As you mentioned earlier, you've gotten a lot of hate already. I will let everyone know that as soon as I started doing music with major artists, this was way back in 2010 when I first started working with Jelly Roll, who was not very known at the time, but has since become a American Idol artist in resident and a very famous celebrity. Before that, I started working with another artist from Memphis, Tennessee named Little White and another artist named Project Pat. At that time, Danny, I got my first ever death threat. I got an unrestricted or an unknown call on my phone. And I said, hello. They said, you need to stop doing music, stop following these big dreams, or I'm going to come to your house and murder you. So the threats that we get, Danny, and that was the first of many, okay? That was 15 years ago. The threats that you and me get, some people don't understand. We do this because we have a heart for it. We have a calling. We're on a mission. We love what we do. But also, there's a lot of negativity that we have to encounter constantly. And those are the people that we're not for. We're not advocating that. So that's why I say stay out of the...
Pete, I had a guy do videos on me on Instagram. He's like, he was drunk, Pete. He's like, that fucking Danny Miner, he's a motherfucking rhino. He's a fucking flip-flopping motherfucker. That's what he said, Pete. Drunk off his ass, call me a rhino. And for those of you who don't know what a rhino is Republican in name only. He's basically saying I'm a fake Republican. Well, you know what? I'm not a Republican. I'm a human being with a fucking heart. And I know you don't deport a guy with 3 children when he's on his way to fucking work. And he's been living there for 15 years and doesn't have a criminal record. That's what I know.
Yes. And Danny, I agree with that. I see the comments are already starting to light up. McBlue said criminals can be deported. They have already had due process. And what we're talking about specifically in this case is the one specific case we're going to talk about first is the case about Kilmore Abrego Garcia, who was arrested on March 12th, 2025 in Maryland, deported to El Salvador, which he claims that he had to escape from in order to maintain his life. And he had no criminal record in the United States of America. A lot of the countries who are listening around the world, they may not understand the legal system in America, the due process. I don't understand it 100%, Danny. I understand
Me neither.
I'm still constantly learning. Not only am I watching shows and reading legal content, I rely on my peers. I rely on people like you who are giving us the facts. But what I don't rely on is the media to give me all the truth. So I see stuff in the media and I take it with a grain of salt. I investigate myself. I look for more valid and authenticated sources. So talking about this gentleman here, I personally have seen no evidence in order to indicate that there was a legal reason for him to be deported, personally.
Well, here's the thing. And Pete, there's a lot of things people don't realize. It was an accident that he was deported. It was an accident. Like, people are like, F him, F him, F him. No, it was an accident, folks. He was sent to this prison by accident. Okay? They weren't trying to deport him. Like, I don't get what people aren't understanding. This guy is in a scary ass prison where his life is in danger for no reason. He was legal to be here. He wasn't a legal resident, but he was legal to be here, folks. He raised 3 daughters. He was going to work. What did you want him to do? What did you want him to do? That's what I want to know.
Yes. And as you just clarified, this was, as the White House and ISIS claimed, this was an administrative error that sent him over there. And like you just said, he was legal to be here. He was married to a United States citizen. And one thing that's very sad about the United States, I see William Wolford in the comments says here in the United States, deportation has major big issues, big ramifications. You're absolutely right. But here in the United States, we like to pride ourselves. Our country of America, the United States of America, prides itself on having lots and lots of prisons and lots of prisoners. We have approximately 1% of the world's population, but approximately 25% of the world's prisoners. Another country with a lot of prisoners is El Salvador. So this is a very scary and very dangerous country and dangerous prisons over there that this Maryland man, who, as you say, was going to work and provide a living for his family, was sent to. And now they're saying, at first they were saying, no, they will not be able to bring him back. He's not coming back under any conditions. Now they're saying there's talks. So now they're opening a discussion to possibly bring him back.
Pete, and did you see there's a bunch of Democrats that have been going over, Democratic senators? Now, and people are all over them. Here's the thing I want to tell everybody. This is not, I say this all the time, Pete. We are not rooting for our favorite team. This isn't me sticking for the Philadelphia Eagles. This isn't you sticking for, I don't know who your favorite team is, the Tennessee Titans. I don't know, Pete. All right. But I always say that. This Republican and Democrats are not our favorite team. They're going to make mistakes and you have to call them out. Even if you're a Republican, you have to call them out. And Democrats, you too. You don't call your own party out either. When they say something that doesn't make sense, call them out. Your favorite team is your family. It's not Republican and Democrat. You vote for your family. I always say that. That's who your favorite team should be. Just the way I feel.
I agree, Danny. And in terms of NFL and football, I actually have four favorites. I do like the Titans since they came to Tennessee. I also like the Miami Dolphins because my dad and mom were from Miami. I like the Denver Broncos, and I like the Las Vegas Raiders. Those are my 14. But in terms of voting for our favorites here, we do need to hold the government accountable. This goes back to what we mentioned earlier in the beginning of the weekly highlights and the entertainment spotlight about Shannon Sharp, who's not being held accountable, or Joe from Impractical Jokers, or the laundry list of other celebrities, law enforcement officers, government officials, or people with money and power who they do a crime, they get caught, and guess what? Slap on the wrist. You or me, or average Joe, the average waiter, the average busboy, the average bus driver, they're going to prison. They're going to prison for life for these same crimes. And that's unacceptable. So we have to hold people accountable. We have to question our governments and we have to question these laws. And when they make these errors, we need to call them out on it. That's why our show is so important, because we are not paid by the mainstream media. However, we are entertaining sponsorship from the right companies. We're looking for the right brands or companies to be sponsors of the Minor Details.
Pete, I totally agree. And that's the thing, Pete, and we're harping on the Republicans right now, but the truth of the matter is, and people aren't going to like that I say this, but the Democrats made Donald Trump by their stupidity and their continuous stupidity. They made Donald Trump. So everything that's going on right now is the Democrats' fault because of their stupidity. They made us all switch to Republicans and vote Republican because of the way they were running this country. You can't have open borders and let everybody in your country, because there are people that don't like Americans. They don't like our way of life. So you can't have open borders. So I'm definitely against open borders, but I also want to use common sense. When there's people here for 15 years, we should try to make them citizens. Give them a way to become citizens. And it shouldn't take 10 fucking years. There should be easy ways to become citizens. I said what I said. People aren't going to like it, but we got to give people a way to become citizens.
Danny, what we are exporting here in America is the American dream. That's what we're selling. Our major export in America is entertainment. And you and I, Danny, we were blessed and fortunate in a lot of ways to be here in America. But in some ways, I'm not going to lie, it also seems like a curse from time to time. It's not the land of the free and the home of the brave that it was always portrayed as. And I hope that everyone out there listening will understand that we're talking about deeper issues than just partisan parties of Republican and Democrat. We're talking about morally what's right and what's wrong. Think about how America was founded. Think about the forefathers that came here and the people that lived here indigenously. Well, what happened? It was claimed, it was taken. Tax structures were put into place. Laws were put into effect. And while we do have to have a civilized society, there's a right way and a wrong way to do these things. And I think that we are very close to encroaching on a lot of wrong paths right now in America. And it's very disturbing.
And Pete, I want to say something else. The Supreme Court now is ruling against Trump, and he is not listening to the Supreme Court. Folks, that is a slippery slide, okay? And you're talking about a guy that voted for Trump. But just because I voted for him because he was the less of two evils, I couldn't vote for her and her giggling and not knowing what the hell she was doing. There was no way I was voting for her, okay? But I'm also, just because I voted for him, I'm not going to not call him out. What he's doing right now is wrong. We have a constitution. We have a Supreme Court. And you are not a dictator. You're only a president, and you must listen to them. If you like it or not, you must listen to them. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. And we're going to have a lot of controversial comments as well. We already have some coming in. I'm going to go ahead and mention what Angela just said. Angela says we need more Latinos arming themselves and asserting their Second Amendment rights and going around in groups. So that's definitely one opinion that's not going to be popular with everyone. And that's what we here at the Minor Details are open to. We're open to respectfully discussing a variety of opinions so we can come together and find the answers.
Let me tell you something that's going to be very controversial. But you know what? I'm Danny Miner. And I was going to do a video on this, Pete. I was going to put that Garcia's picture up and say, now picture him as a European white man. Does your feelings change? And I will bet you feelings change. If we showed a picture of a white European man that was taken from his 3 daughters and shipped back to Europe, there'd be a different fucking story. I said what I said. I said what I said. It's okay because he's Hispanic. That's the reason I'm saying it. That's the truth of the matter. If the guy was white and European, it'd be a different story from a lot of people.
And Danny,
I'm sorry, that's the truth. And I tell the truth. I don't care if anybody likes it or not. It's the truth.
Danny, you're right that is the majority consensus. That is what is normally talked about and reported. And I saw an interesting comment from a good friend of mine from Canada. She commented on one of our videos and she said, not every Indigenous Native American is has brunette hair and brown eyes. Some of them have blue eyes and some of them have blonde hair and are white. So we will, of course, admit there are different DNA traits, different characteristics, but what we are referring to is the majority. The majority of these cases are like you just described. They are viewed as more important or bigger news, flashing news, urgent news, big news report if they are coming from a Caucasian person. And we need to see an equal level of urgency with these other races and other nationalities, because guess what? They're all human, all have a heart.
Exactly. And Pete, I'm gonna sum this all up for all of you. How much do we worry about the Canadian border? I said what I said. We're not worried about it at all because they're all white. I said what I said. It's a fact, guys. It's a fact. You don't have to listen. I'm going to say it because no one else will. And that's why they tune into us. Because you know what? CNN ain't going to tell you that. Fox News ain't going to tell you that. But we don't care about the Canadian border because they're all white. It's a fact. It's the way it is. Sorry.
You know what, Danny? I think it's interesting. I just went to Toronto, Canada for my first time ever. I visited Ontario. And this was my first time ever in Canada. And I thought that they were way more concerned about me as an American citizen coming into their country than we in America are about Canadians coming here. I tell you what, when I came back into the U.S., I came back at the Niagara Falls border. And
I've been there.
yeah, literally, I mean, they were just like, okay, cool, American citizen, cool, welcome back. But going into Canada, it was a much more strict regime. And now things have obviously gotten more tense. Things have obviously gotten even more, I would almost say, out of control with the borders there. But like you said, that's with their border is how they're viewing America. But we in America, I don't hear any talk about that. Oh, let's protect the Canadian border. I hear nothing about that.
Let me ask you something, Pete. When was the last time they talked about building a wall up at the Canadian border? When's the wall going up in the Canadian border? I said what I said. Listen, you want the facts, you want the truth, you want me not to be scared of what I say? Tune into us. Because the facts are the facts. There's no wall going up around Canada. There's a wall going up around Mexico. That's all you need to know. I said what I said.
If anyone in the comments knows of any Canadian wall plans, let us know. Like you said, Danny, I've heard absolutely nothing about that, and I've heard no talk about that border. It's just, oh, let's secure the Mexican border. And here's the thing, Danny. I know a lot of people from a lot of walks of life. I know a lot of great, amazing Mexican people. I know a lot of great people from Colombia, great people from Brazil, Venezuela. I know great Canadians and New Zealand and Australia residents. And here's the thing. There are good people, and there are people with malicious intent everywhere you go. we're all good and bad, Danny. I don't think you're 100% perfect. You might be like 98, maybe. I don't know. But we're all good and we all make bad decisions sometimes. But that doesn't mean that we as a country, as a nation in America, should ever start this to me it's a discriminating mindset, and it's been started since long before you and I were even born, but it's still being perpetuated in 2025, and I want to stop the discrimination. I grew up in a very racist small town. I hate racism. I hate discriminating against other people, and it's got to stop.
Pete, totally. And listen, I mentioned this a lot of times, but it's a fact. My name was changed when I came into this country. When my relatives came to this country, Italians were discriminated against. You can see my flag. We were discriminated against. My last name is Manero. They changed my name to Minor. My great-grandfather was Biagio Minero. And they said, you know what? Your name's now William Minor. Okay? So he went from coming from Italy to this country in 1871, my great-grandfather, Biagio Minero, and they said, nope, now you're William Minor. So we went through discrimination. Anybody that comes to this country went through some kind of discriminations, and Italians did too. So my family went through it years ago. Italians are accepted now, but back then they weren't. We were too dark, Pete. It's a fact.
And Danny, it's very revealing when you travel the world. I was actually just texting a very dear family member today and talking about how things are different when you see different parts of the world. New York, for example, one of the biggest melting pots in the United States of America. And you see people that immigrated all over that came to New York. Well, the name New York literally is the new version of the town York. So we all came over here from different places. None of us are truly 100% from here unless our bloodline was 100% born here.
Right, American Indian or yeah.
Yes. And, that's an even bigger topic of, well, where do all the bloodlines and all the human lines originate, and the original man and womankind and this and that. But what we're talking about is 2025. What can we do about these things, and how can we bring a stop to it, or how can we bring some awareness to it to make things better? I'm sick and tired of reading these articles. And Ashley, actually in the comments, great comment right there. We all bleed the same. Absolutely. All human beings. That's so important to realize.
Exactly, Pete. And this brings out the true racist. Because if you saw my comments, guys, you have no idea the DMs I got. Pete, I got a DM from a guy that was a life coach and a preacher of Jesus. His comments were, Jesus is my life and I'm a life coach. And he called me every name in the book. Okay, called me every name in the book, told me I was worthless because I was sticking up for people that were being deported. And this is from a life coach. So really, he's a racist fuck that hides behind Jesus. I said what I said. I said what I said. I don't care what anybody thinks. Okay? Because religious people sometimes are the worst. They hide behind the fucking religion. And that really pisses me off.
I understand, Danny, especially when you are trying to claim what should be a good, moral, and upright cause. And you are saying that that's the advocacy that you fall under. And then you're using that as a pedestal to get up there and lash down at others. You're no better than the common criminal. You're no better than the murderer out there, in my opinion, because you're, and as a matter of fact, you might be worse because you're taking an oath to your religion. Just like law enforcement officers, as you know, Danny, being one for many years, you take an oath to protect and serve. So when these officers are committing these crimes, it's the same thing. It just makes me sick because I do not like seeing them let go with a slap on the wrist when you or me or anyone else would be directly punished for these things. So I'd like to talk about one more deportation issue right quick.
This one's bigger.
Yeah, we can keep on talking about more as we have about 17 minutes left in the show today. But we have a pair of German teenagers that were turned away at the United States border in Honolulu, Hawaii last month because they were allegedly unable to present lodging confirmation to Customs and Border Patrols. So this is 19-year-old Charlotte Pohl and 18-year-old Maria Lapierre. They arrived in Honolulu. They did not have hotel reservations for their stay on the island. So therefore, Customs and Border Patrol said, no, you're sent back. Now, is that right or is that wrong?
Pete, when I read this, and I want to tell you what is coming from this. You had two young girls, 18 years old, celebrating their graduation from high school from Germany. They come here to tour the United States. They get thrown in jail with criminals. They get strip searched, scan searched. These young girls were strip searched in our country. And you know what's coming now, Pete? Vegas just did an article today. Our tourism in Vegas is down because other countries are not coming here because they're afraid. They're afraid to come here. So guess what, you racist people? Now no one wants to come here because of you. And that's a fact. They're afraid to come here now because they're going to get deported. They can't even come here on vacation now. Folks, this is not good. It's not good at all. It's not.
Danny, a lot of people may or may not know that Las Vegas is one of the biggest tourist destinations in the world, definitely in America. It has the most hotel rooms in the United States of America, and tourism is huge, huge, huge for Las Vegas, as well as many other cities in the United States that are suffering. And tourism in America has been declining because of these issues. It's probably going to keep declining. I do see a very interesting comment here from McBlue that we want to get to and respect. He says, most countries I've been to do that. They want to see reservations and a return ticket.
I
So
understand that. Yeah, I understand that.
that does seem understandable. Absolutely. There is a necessary means of protection, and there's a necessary way to go about it. But to me, when I hear the details of these two German teenagers being strip searched and thrown into jail and basically treated like criminals, to me, that is way, way, way over the line of how humans should be treated. And it's also the message that we're sending out in America as we are exporting entertainment, we're exporting celebrities and influencers, music. We are also now exporting this idea of America. If you don't live here and you're not a citizen here, good
You're
luck.
not wanted. Yeah.
You're not welcome. And I do not want to say that because Danny, you're a great person. I like to consider myself a good person, and we're welcoming. We like to treat people, respectful people, with respect. We'd love to show people from other countries around Las Vegas and Florida and Tennessee and New York, wherever we're traveling. But the message that our country is sending out through the last 5 months has been very disturbing. And I'm terribly alarmed, and I'm concerned, Danny, that it's going to get worse this summer.
Pete, it's definitely going to get worse. And people are cheering this on. Like like I said, like it's their favorite team. Yeah, deport them. They don't belong here. What if you went on vacation with your family and this happened to you in Ireland, I don't know, London, wherever the hell you went? What if this happened to you? Would you ever go back to that country again? No. You would tell a million people how shitty it was and how they treated you. Like, I don't get this, folks. I don't get why you're cheering this on. It's horrible. It's horrible. I don't know how you're cheering it on.
Danny, one thing that I've been seeing, even before the recent news articles about the recent deportations, I would see these articles pop up about people who allegedly never were legal in America, and they're getting picked up and deported, and so many people are cheering. However, a lot of these people, as you mentioned earlier in tonight's episode, had been here for a decade, 15 years. And even though they may have entered illegally, which I do not agree with entering a country illegally, but when you built a family and you have a 5-year-old child who only knows America, are you going to send that 5-year-old child to another country? I mean, I just want to know at what line we're going to stop, if we're going to stop, if there's a line that our government feels like they're not going to cross, or have they already crossed it? Because it's very concerning.
I think they already crossed it. I don't know how true this is. I just heard they deported a girl with brain cancer. I just heard they deported a fucking girl with brain cancer. Now, if that happened, this is a crock of shit. And you racist in my DMs, go to hell. I'm telling you, go to hell. I don't give a fuck what you think of me. Because this is bullshit. It's total bullshit. I don't care what anybody says.
It's very upsetting, Danny. It's very concerning, and I understand completely why you're so riled up. I feel the same way. Every time I read these messages, Danny, I'm now able to, with a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of grace, I'm able to read these messages, and I perceive these people as being very small, very immature, and very, very stupid, very ignorant, like you just said. I used to get extremely offended, and I used to kind of lash back out at these haters and the death threats and and all the negativity. But now I just look at them as kind of very sad people who they don't have an open mind. They don't understand how the world works. They don't understand human nature. But like you said, the stories that we're seeing here in America are more and more concerning. What about the doctor who came to Rhode Island and was turned away from Rhode Island and also deported because of, I
didn't even hear that, Pete. What happened?
Yeah. It was a doctor. I do not have her name in front of me, but she came to Rhode Island to practice, and she was turned away and deported from Rhode Island. And again, just the same issue of no, we don't like you. We don't want you here, and you're going back. But she had her work permit. She had her papers already in line. However, something administratively and or ICE decided, no, you're not wanted here. You're not welcome here.
And folks, here's the thing. When you're doing stuff like this, you got to realize you're going to be putting yourself on an island all by yourself. No other country's going to back us up if we keep doing this. If you keep treating people like shit, nobody's going to defend you. And that's what we're doing here in the United States. I mean, we're offending other countries. Like, why would we do that? It just don't make sense to me. It don't.
No, it doesn't. And Danny, I just looked up for clarifications for anyone out there who is tuning in live or listening to the podcast later. I'm referring to Dr. Rasha Alloway, a Rhode Island-based kidney transplant doctor who was detained and deported from Boston's Logan Airport after visiting her parents overseas. So I did have the facts mistaken. It was detained and deported from Boston, but she was a kidney transplant doctor from Rhode Island, United States of America. She's helping American citizens. She's doing the work. She's doing God's work on the ground, helping people with necessary transplants for vital necessities of life. And yet our government is saying, you know what? Get out of here. You're deported. It's unacceptable, Danny.
So they're not welcome in this country, okay? But if you pay $1 million for a gold ticket, you can become a citizen of America. Trump's gold ticket $1 million way into the country. Seriously, folks? Seriously. Like, again, I voted for this man because to me, the Democrats were crazy, okay? But now he's getting crazy. We honestly need a third party, Pete. We honestly need a moderate party because most of us are moderates. Most of us see both sides. We need a third party because this is crazy. Totally crazy.
Danny, a lot of people don't understand how programming and brainwashing works and how just being accustomed to something, being told something your whole life, or being spoon-fed information really affects the human mind and the psyche. A lot of these people, sadly, they're saying, I'm a Democrat because my mom and dad told me to be a Democrat, and I'm always going to be a Democrat till the day I die. Or I'm a Republican, vice versa. And that's honestly the reason I grew up as calling myself a Republican, because my mom and dad said, well, we're a Republican family, so that's what you should be. Then as I started studying myself, I said, you know what? I think I'll lean more towards Democrat. Then as things got crazier and the world got more and more crazy, I said, you know what? I don't really identify as any political party. I identify as a human being. So where's that one? Where's the American party, if anything?
Pete, and I'm going to tell you real quick, same thing with me. I was a Democrat my entire life. My mom worked for the Democratic Party. My dad always told me that the Republicans were for the rich, and we were not rich, so I had to vote Democrat. My dad told me that his whole life, that the Republicans were only for the rich, they weren't for me. Okay? My dad loved Bill Clinton. He thought Bill Clinton was the greatest president alive. Okay? But when I became a cop and President Obama kept shitting on the police, that's when I turned to Republican. When everybody went against the police, that's when I changed my party affiliation to Republican. So that's how I became a Republican. But now I'm pretty sure next election, I'm going to be like you. I'm switching to independent. I am, because I don't see either sides now. I don't.
It really, truly is a shame that we in America have come to this polarizing differentiation. And I'm even going to play just for a moment the devil's advocate against something that you said earlier when it's clear that obviously the Democrats have done a lot of things in America that have intensified and made things worse. And I'm going to say, again, as I'm not either one of these political parties, but I'm going to say it's not completely their fault. Just like
I agree.
Trump's fault or the Republicans. It's not completely the organization of ICE. It's not completely the IRS. It's not completely the Secret Service, but working together in collaboration with each other in order to make these things happen, these deportations, as we're talking about on this episode. That's what's so disturbing. And I'm seeing a lot of actually contradictory comments right now flooding in from YouTube, as well as some comments on Instagram. Some people are saying that they have had more of a strict experience going to countries where they were asked for credentials, residency information, hotel, whereas other people are saying, Angela, for example, says she visited the UK and they never asked for anything. So that's also an interesting thing to realize, is that different people going to different countries at different times, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see a Border Patrol agent who is just a person employed by that country's government. So that person is going to make individual calls, just like when I was coming back from Canada, the Border Patrol agent in America, she made a call to just glance at my passport. Oh, you're a Nevada resident. Okay, see you later. So it's a subjective experience that's not going to be the same with everyone. That's what I'm trying to say.
I agree. But Pete, oh geez, I'm dropping my mic. Pete, think of this though.
Oh no.
Think of this, Pete. Okay, if you're coming to America now, right? Aren't you a little nervous? Like if you were coming here from another country to visit, wouldn't you be nervous now? I mean, if I was coming from Mexico, holy shit, I'd be nervous. You know what I mean? I'd be thinking they don't even want me here.
That's why I say, Danny, that I feel like we're blessed to be born in America and to be born as American citizens, but it's also a bit of a curse, and it's getting more and more concerning. It's getting more and more dangerous by the day, because not only are we subjective to all these things that are going on. Of course, if we travel outside, we're now, oh, you're an American. Oh, an American. Huh. Well, we know how you are. So now we're going to treat you differently, possibly. But not only that, everyone coming here, of course, for years and years, we have had a lot of hate against America. We have had a lot of not only terror attacks, but alleged terrorist attacks. We've had a lot of just a negative energy and a negative vibe that we're putting out there. And guess what? In America, we're number one at violence. We're number one at prisoners. We're number one at being unhealthy. We're number one at heart attacks. I want to be number one at having good mental health. I want to be number one at helping people. I want to be number one at getting rid of homelessness. We still have hundreds of thousands of homeless people in America, 653,000 homeless people in America. And I've been homeless sleeping in my car. It is not cool. There are 150 million homeless people in the world. So it's much bigger than America, but it has to start here, Danny, as we are here in America and we're talking to fans across the globe.
Yep. I just want to say one more thing before we get into our closing. I'm going to describe Democrats and Republicans. Democrats, to me, are the kid that raised their hand and said, hey, weren't we supposed to get a quiz today? We didn't get homework, teacher. That's how I describe Democrats. I describe Republicans as the no fun group. We can't drink alcohol. We can't smoke marijuana. They're the no fun group. So you got the Republicans that are no fun, and then you have the Democrats that don't use any common sense. And they're going to raise their hand. Teacher, you didn't give us homework today. I swear to God, that's how I describe both parties.
Wow, Danny. And, we're going to get a lot of hate for this from both parties. We're going to get a lot of inbox comments. I do appreciate everyone for tuning in, for keeping it respectful in the chat, even when we have a difference of opinions. And, Danny, before we start to close our episode, I want to get to one more comment I see here on Instagram. There's a comment saying, hey, Danny, what are your thoughts on Elon Musk and Doge, the new government agency?
Listen, I think it's a good thing. I don't know why people are hating on him, honestly. And I know I'm not. Listen, I told you I'm in the middle. He's basically finding money, okay, that was used for stupid purposes, and people are getting mad at him for it. He's like, yo, they're stealing your money, and people are like, let them steal it. Let them steal it. And again, the Democrats don't use common sense. Teacher, you didn't give us homework. That's how I described them, Pete. The people that say, teacher, you didn't give us homework. He's finding stolen money, so I agree with them. I agree with Elon.
Danny, there's been a lot of hate about Elon. There's been a lot of people that call him crazy. I think he's very eccentric. I think he's obviously extremely gifted in intelligence. And I do think that overall his heart is geared towards helping humanity and helping the world, just like my coworker, Mr. Beast, the world's largest YouTuber whose football I have behind me, who I worked with on Beast Games on Amazon Prime. So anyway, we have a lot of different opinions here. I appreciate everyone. I'd like to go ahead and start wrapping things up as we have.
Go ahead, wrap it up. We're going to be late today.
Like, episode 12 of the Minor Details. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. I'm Pete Pitts, your co-host. I have 107 movies and TV shows I've been on, as well as the author of Path to Success, as well as a rap artist with Jelly Roll, and of course, the founder and the crime solver of the Minor Details, Danny Miner. Go ahead and bring us home.
All right. For use, you know me from TikTok. I have 430,000 followers on TikTok. I'm pushing 70,000 on Instagram. I'm the host here with Pete, co-host of The Minor Details. We're going to continue going. I'm an actor now. I'm officially an actor, Pete. I'm an actor. Once your name goes up there, I'm an actor. And we're going to see you all next week. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week, same time. Oh, after party tonight. I know Pete can't come, but there will be an after party on TikTok, 8:30. See you all there. Thanks, Pete.
Have a good night.
All right.
Do the cash walk, do the cash walk. Hey, I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your